up, Kane fans? Welcome to the show. We got a special one for you. I know a lot of you in the chat. Some of you are very knowledgeable. Some of you even know even more than I do. But today is a day for the average fans. The guys that maybe, guys like me up until, a few years ago, I didn't follow recruiting super closely, but guys that just, we just love the U. We just love the Canes. And we want to reminisce a little bit. So joining me today are literally the average Canes fans from the Miami Flow channel. We got the large helmet right below me, the Admiral himself, Lex, and of course, AO from the Average Canes Fan Show. How are you guys doing?
What's going on, John? Thank you for having us, man. We appreciate it.
Oh, of course, man. As soon as I saw your show, I'm like, I got to have these dudes on because this is kind of what I was going for when I originally started my channel. And you guys, I mean, 2 episodes did what it took me like 6 months to build. So had to have you guys on. So thank you for being on. I love it. Got Mike Cal, you got Fernando, love the helmet. Negus, Brian, what's up? All right, guys. So we got a lot to cover. I did want to cover a little bit of, some of the news that is happening, which is all pretty much recruiting related. We landed, in my opinion, a very good quarterback for this upcoming class. And Jaden Rashada, who's a top 5, top 7 quarterback in the nation, is still visiting. So we may land 2 quarterbacks in this class. AO, you and I were talking a little bit about it before the show started. What are your thoughts on us possibly taking 2 with the guys we already have?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of why I was going back and forth earlier was you can always say, well, you can always run a 2 QB system. Don't worry about it. Have them both come in and, iron will sharpen the iron. But at the same time, you're not going to keep one of them, and at the end of the day, we have a stacked room. I mean, it's going to scare a lot of guys away. I think really if you commit at this point, it shows more about your personality and what you're really driving after than it does on a 5-star coming. Because if you're ready for the grind, it don't matter what that star is.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Lex? What do you think?
It kind of reminds me of our stacked running back room 21 years ago when you had Gore, McGahee. I mean, you had James. If they really want to compete and make themselves better, then fight it out. You're going to see what kind of guys they really are. But it reminds me of that running back room. And all those running backs stuck. And they're all basically Hall of Famers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, the more crowded the room is with that kind of talent, all it is, the better you make yourself because you earn your time in practice. What do they say? Practice should be harder than the games. So, that's Portis too. Exactly. Forgot about Portis. That's a stack. That's the most stacked room ever in Miami history, probably.
The tight end room was stacked for years too. I mean, you had guy after guy after guy. I mean, it can be ran if you run it right, efficiently, where you keep everybody there. It just matters on the ego that the person has. Exactly. Can you wait and shine, or do you have to try, but you have that bigger chance of failure at that point too? Because was it too early and you just weren't ready yet?
I agree with you guys. I'm of the old school mentality of you got to compete. Like, I'd rather have those guys on the squad, but let's be real. In today's day and age, those guys are much harder to find.
Correct.
Much harder to find. But they're still out there. Look at Ohio State right now. They've become, it's between them and Alabama for the title of wide receiver U. But look at the receivers that Bama had a few years ago. They had who was it? Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, and
Jimmy.
like 2 other studs, like all on the same receiving.
All from Miami too.
Like 3 out of 4.
All from one city.
Yeah. They're secondary, all from Miami. Mm-hmm. It's like, dude, but yeah, you stack as many blue chip guys as you can. And I think, you know what? Some guys want to be stars, like, kind of make their own name elsewhere and now make the money, of course, with NIL. But guys also want to win.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they want to be part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Williams, Davenport, James, Gore, Portis, Gore, McGahee. That's the other thing. People forget about DJ Williams was the number 1 running back in the country. And he had to switch positions.
Well, John, the question is, as much we talk about Emery and everybody else, you're going to see what type of guy Rashada is. I think that's going to be you're going to see what kind of mentality does he really have? Does he really care, or does he?
Right.
Oh, agreed.
I think that goes ego versus trust the process. That's kind of your two left and rights.
Yeah. And speaking of trusting the process, all the, I think most Kane fans, at least the knowledgeable ones with a somewhat, sane head on their shoulders are, they're looking at the guys that we brought in, all these 3-star guys, and they're like, let's give Mario a chance let's give the staff a chance to develop these guys. They have a vision, they have a goal. But then there's some fans that are like, why are we only getting 3-star guys? Mario, where are the 5-star recruits? Because they're mentioning, they're forgetting that the guy's only been here 6 months and they're already ready to jump ship, probably because, we've been hurt by past staffs. How do you guys, and we'll start with you, Lex, how do you guys feel about who's been brought in so far? Are you concerned at all, or do you like what Mario's doing?
You have to love what Mario's doing. I mean, there's no. Let me put it this way: we don't have a choice. It's been 20 years of disaster. I mean, you don't have a choice but to love it and support it. And I think that's why a lot of people supported Manny at the beginning too, is because of the same thing he brought. So, in my opinion, yeah, I love what Mario's doing. We're not used to all the secretive ways that Mario works. I mean, he's better than the Birdman AO. He knows how to move like he's a ninja. You have no clue what Mario's doing. I remember on your show a couple of weeks ago, I asked you, "Yo, is Mario done with the staff?" You said, "You told me, John, we don't know," and he's still adding people. He's still adding, and we don't know what he's doing now. And some of the, again, I'm just a fan, so some of these names that they were starting to bring in for OC and all that, I had to do my own research because I was like, okay, well, I know he's the OC at Michigan. Do I pay attention to the numbers and all that? No. Do I pay attention to this? No. He brought in the most surprising coach to me was our DN coach that he brought in, But then you start doing it, and it's like, okay, Mario has a plan, and he's going to do his plan the way he knows how to do it, using all the resources he has. And it's hard to see the guy fail. You can't see it. You can't see fail in everything he's doing. Are you going to lose games? In my opinion, no. We're 12-0 every year till the day I die, and after that, we're 12-0. But if you lose games, does that fail? No. That's you have to lose to succeed. And what Mario's doing, it's crazy. It's crazy. We have never seen this in our lifetime. We never. None of us. I mean, depending on our ages, none of us have ever been born to see this.
Mm. Yeah. What about you, AO?
Where do the rankings come from? There's so many different formulas they use. There's so many different people that have their hands in it. There's so much money out there nowadays into how this all gets thrown into the mix. It's clickbait. It's instant gratification. It's pipelining. It's so many different different variables get put into this. At the end of the day, I trust the guy that's watching the films, that do this for a living at a high level. When push comes to shove, not everything that glitters is gold. And we've had 5-stars come. I mean, we had one running back that was the Gatorade Player of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't even show up in a game. I mean, sometimes we get so thrown into this whole instantaneous satisfaction of everything that we see is going to be how it's going to be, on the field for us. It doesn't always work that way. So I wouldn't trust the ranking that much.
Yeah, look, the star ranking, do stars matter? Yes, they matter, especially nowadays with the way guys get evaluated. But you got to factor this in. Number one, yes, all the 5 stars go to the same schools like Alabama, Georgia, blah, 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 blah. Like they all go to the Ohio State. They're also getting developed by the best coaches.
Right.
So more often than not, if you look at the 5 stars and the really high ranked 4 stars that go to like, I don't know, you name like an FSU, an Arkansas, a Maryland, whatever, just to name random teams. They get that one stud recruit. Sometimes they don't pan out, so you got to factor that in. You got to look at where they're going.
Right.
I would rather have, you mentioned the 5 stars we've had over the years. How many have been busts? I would say most of them. I can count. I mean, Duke was not a bust. He was a 5-star recruit. Trying to think who else. Eric Flowers, I think, was a 5-star.
Wasn't Mark Pope kind of a 5-star?
Mark Pope was a 5-star, but he did not pan out. I'm trying to think of the guys that did pan out. It's a very, very short list. I'm talking like recent memory.
Okay, because I was going to say, John, who is the most famous Cane that was probably the lowest star average player to get recruited by us?
That would be Ed Reed.
Exactly.
That would be Ed Reed. But it was also a different era. I do have to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
So I do got a question for you, John.
Uh-huh.
Which one do you think would actually be more plausible? Taking a 3-star and making him into a 5-star with better coaches, or having a 3-star coach trying to work in a 5-star talent?
Oh, the first thing you said, I'd rather have a 3-star with great coaching, because you're at least going to get them.
You can make him into that.
You can at least make him into an all-conference caliber player. Chantrell Henderson, thank you. That's what I was trying to think of. He was a little inconsistent. He couldn't always stay on the field, but when he was on the field, he was dominant.
Yeah.
Man, I'm trying to think of who else, like in the last 10, 15 years.
I mean, how high was the ranking was Donaldson when he came in with Mark Richt?
Donaldson was a 4-star and ranked. He was like a top 100 guy.
Yeah, he was a high 4-star.
I believe so. So, but it wasn't that many guys. Chad Thomas, that's one. But there's not many beyond that. What I love that Mario is doing, he's bringing in, when you're building a team from the ground up, you got to make picks that are not sexy. You got to get, the guys that are good gunners on special teams, the guys that are, guys that are great blockers. Blocking tight ends don't get ranked with 5 stars. It's the receiving tight ends that do. But do you need blocking tight ends? Right. Yes, you do. They help you win close games. So you gotta bring those guys in as well. It's not fun. It's not exciting, but you got to start with them. The bigger recruits will come. In my little Kane Idaho said here. Love it. For those who don't know, this is pretty much what we're seeing on our Discord chat all day.
Yeah, pretty much. Every day.
Wasn't DJ Dallas
it stops at 4 a.m. and it picks up at 5:30 again.
Pretty much.
It was a 4.
Dallas was a 4 and was a quarterback. Nesta was a 4. Tracy Howard was a 5-star.
Oh, yeah.
He had that one really good year, but really nothing beyond that, unfortunately. But I think another guy, he didn't get coached right. They tried to make him play like more of a zone soft Mark D'Onofrio coverage where you're 12 yards off the ball. He was a man-on-man guy. So, like I said, you put them in the wrong coaching staff, they don't pan out.
Right.
Lingard was the name, Lorenzo Lingard, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
He was a 5-star, yeah. He was the number 2 running back in the country.
Gatorade All-American.
So just to let you know and this is a personal experience, while Lorenzo was injured during the season, he was here back in Orange City. He was supposed to be healing. He was in the casino. He was in the Orange City poker room. And that just shows you the mentality of some people. I took a picture with him. I was in there.
Get a picture. Well, that's at least proof enough.
Oh, that's proof. I have a picture of him.
It's like he was being a degenerate with me. I have proof.
Exactly. Right here.
But that shows the mentality of the players while they're injured, what they're doing.
Right. Or they cared about in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we don't know what else he was doing to try to get himself healthy, but
Right.
I heard someone say this. It's like, sometimes you blame the players, sometimes you blame the coaches, sometimes you blame the circumstances around them. Other times it just flat out doesn't work out.
Right.
It's not for any one reason. Sometimes, unfortunately, it doesn't work out. And you see that happen a lot too. He says, I love the way Mario's recruiting because it's like building anything. You have to start with a foundation. Everyone notices the pretty, but never notices what's holding up the pretty. That's a great point, Negus.
Yep.
I love that. Nobody notices the foundation of a building. Everybody notices the marble tile. Everyone notices the finished product. And, it's the Devin Hesters. Yes, they help you win games. They help, the crowd goes crazy for them. But if no one's blocking for him, he never gets into the end zone. I don't care how good he is. Winston, Marcus Forston, Brandon Harris, Arthur Brown was all 5 stars. Yeah.
Wasn't Forston part of that Jacoria Harris class that they all came in from
They all
Northwest?
came in at the same time.
Shannon just killed that class.
Yeah, that was a rough class.
Javi, I'm sorry, guys. Javi got me dying.
Yeah, I remember they start as freshmen. They looked great.
Yeah.
But they didn't quite take it to the next step of being like All-Americans, first rounders. Sean Spence got pretty close. He was like the one guy.
Wasn't Ray Armstrong or that he became?
Ray Armstrong was the following year. He was at Northwestern.
Okay. He ended up playing for the Steelers for many years.
Yeah, he was in the NFL. I mean, again, down here he was used wrong. He should have been used as a linebacker. Okay. Maybe he should have been used on offense because he was a wildcat quarterback in high school. A lot of guys were used wrong here.
What could have been?
Bro, it's insane. I don't even want to go down that road. The nightmare's over now.
Right.
I don't want to relive it. I will say this of those 3 guys, Brandon Harris had a nice career here. He was an excellent corner. Got drafted in the 2nd round, I think, by the Texans, but didn't pan out beyond that. I mean, it's a crapshoot at that point, but he was really good. All right. Let's switch gears to more positive note because I don't want to go down memory lane of the last 20 years. But who, like, when you guys have talked about like what game or what moment made you fans growing up, or when you guys were younger, first starting to watch the Canes, who was your favorite player growing up, or I guess who was like your all-time favorite player? I'll start with you, Lex.
A lot of us play sports in high schools. We had some chances in college. I was a D-line guy. I like watching number 76, 99 in the NFL for the Bucks, Mr. Warren Sapp. Love the attitude, the nastiness. He did not care. Warren Sapp has always been my all-time favorite football player and Hurricanes player of all time. Everything about him was football.
Yeah, I loved watching that dude. My first experience watching him though was when he was a rookie. He was just finished his rookie year. You remember they used to do that skills competition thing in Hawaii? They used to televise it for the Pro Bowl. He was doing this drill where they run through the tires and stuff, and then they're doing all these drills, right? He does this obstacle course, and at the end of it, you have to hit the tackling dummy and drive it back 10 yards. He, instead of hitting it and driving it, he got a running start, and on momentum alone, he hit it, and the thing went rolling back 10 yards. Warren Sapp was a freak, absolute freak.
It's one of the nastiest first steps on an interior D lineman that you will ever see.
He was so athletically gifted, so quick. Took the reason The Rock went to the WWE instead of staying with football, pretty much.
Exactly.
So we have Warren Sapp to thank, double for that.
Not a bad decision by The Rock either.
No, he's got some coin. He's pretty pretty rich. Kane Idaho says Jerome Brown was another one of those guys.
Yeah, he was.
I had to go back and watch tape because it was all in the 80s, but
right, same here.
He again wasn't that big, and the way he just knifed through that O-line and was always in the backfield he was just a terror. close second, Dan Morgan, Devin Hester. Yeah, there's a long list. But anyway, AO, who do you got?
So Edge brought me in when I started watching the Canes for the first time, but ST26, man, that guy was just pure athleticism. And for me, I was playing offense and defense at the time growing up. So watching somebody just literally go all over the field, be everywhere, I mean, he was just a menace. But when he hit people, man, like there was just you felt bad for another team for the first time. Like I felt bad for the guys that he hit. I was congratulating that they got up, but man, what a player, man. That was just an all around badass.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, John, you can't go wrong with that kind of question. There's no wrong answers here. Who's yours,
You can
John?
close your eyes and you can pick from
Pluck
50 different guys and be like, yeah, that's a great answer. I'm just curious. I always like to ask because, it kind of shows what era you watched first. Usually that first team that you watch, or those first couple years, is what sticks with you the most. So my favorite Kane to watch of all time was Willis McGahee. At that point, I was maybe my third year into watching Canes football, like every single game and going to the games. A very, very close second was Santana Moss.
Nice.
But yeah, Willis McGahee was my favorite because that dude, first of all, that play, the screen pass against FSU was arguably the loudest I ever heard the Orange Bowl get. Just insane. Lex, were you at that game against FSU?
I was at that game. And it's a reminder of the Notre Dame game. That's how loud it was. I remember that game. And when you say McGahee, I mean it's more impressive how he came back from the injury.
Yeah.
He was the first one that I can remember that because like after him, you had Adrian Peterson and all those guys. They would blow out their ACL and they would start. In a year they were back. Before that, it was a death sentence as far as your career.
You're retired.
Not just that, McGahee blew out ACL, MCL, PCL. He blew out everything.
And they replayed it over and over too. That was the worst shit.
It's scary when I forgot which defender. As soon as he went down, was calling over for help. I can't remember. It was a famous defender, but when you saw that and the worst thing is they kept playing it again and again on replay on national TV. Now they've learned to stop doing that.
Yeah, please stop doing that. I don't need to see.
Nobody wants to see that.
It was I remember how bad I felt for him at the time.
You thought he was done, right, John?
Oh yeah.
I thought he was still going to play in the NFL, but like his chance of being a superstar, because he was going to be Carson Palmer was picked number 1, I think, in that draft. He would have been number 2 right behind him.
Yeah, I was like they kept saying it was going to go back and forth between him and Carson, who was going to go first, but Carson was like the clear cut.
I will say this: that year, McGahee should have won the Heisman. He was the best player in the country.
Yeah, hands down. That stiff arm, the Florida defender. Dude, I remember that one might have been my favorite photo of all time. With my cousin's he's like a older brother. Me and him, because he was a Florida fan, we would go back and forth. I literally took that photo and drew it as a poster for an art class. Then it got stuck on our high school wall. So every time he walked down that hallway, he had to keep staring at it. Made my day.
Yeah, he ran for 200 against the Gators in Gainesville. That was,
being in Gainesville, that made it more special. Being in Gainesville, not in Miami.
Oh my God, yeah, that was awesome. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up because it's always fun to reminisce. Yeah, McGahee hands down was my favorite. Oh, and also another fun fact: 28 touchdowns that year.
I did not know that exact number, but that seems pretty high.
28. Yeah, usually if you got 20, that's a monster season for a running back.
That sounds like the Reggie Bush year when he won it all, when he won the Heisman too, somewhere in that same range, I think.
Reggie Bush was like in the low 20s. I remember thinking, man, no one got close to that at that time. Guys have done it recently, but he ridiculous. Let's see, best Hurricane stiff arm ever is Edge against Zach Thomas. I guess that happened in the NFL. I don't think they played each other in college.
I don't remember that in college either.
Yeah, he destroyed Tennessee. Oh, that was another fun game when we went up to Rocky Top. Let's see. Devin Hester, probably the most exciting for Ray Lewis. A lot of people's favorite is Ray Lewis. Again, I was really little. I didn't get to see him play here in Miami. But I think the crazy thing is, I think Ray Lewis said he weighed like 205 pounds when he played here.
That's nuts.
Didn't Ray Lewis get that was the famous story where he got the call the day before signing day, and that was his only offer that came in. And
that was a different time, man. That was 1992. If I have the year right, yeah, it had to have been 92. And mind you, we were coming off like our 4th championship in like 8 years or something, and we were his only offer. I think he had another offer, then they pulled it last minute, and so he didn't think like he wasn't going to make it. He wasn't going to be able to enroll for fall. He was going to have to settle for like a smaller school. And Dennis Erickson calls his high school coach like days before signing day or something. He literally jumps in a car with whatever clothes he had and drove down to Miami.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you gotta the people in the chat, if you haven't seen it, he talked about it, I think, on Colin Cowherd's show. He tells that story, and it's pretty crazy.
He told it also when remember when the Super Bowl was in Miami?
Mm-hmm.
And him and Jimmy Johnson had the show.
Yeah,
that's one of the best shows of Miami Hurricane alum I've ever seen.
Oh, I've watched it like 2 or 3 times.
I did too.
And then he talked about that story. And then when they do the vote on who the best Hurricane ever is, and you got Ed Reese with a cigar and said, "You know who it was? It was me." So that at the end of the day, John, as a fan and a true diehard, I'm pretty sure y'all agree. These are the stories we're hoping to have in 10 or 20 years when Mario's left his legacy at the U. And we're talking with our grandchildren.
Absolutely.
I hope so, man. It's looking like it. Now, Mitch asked, on that note, a great question by Mitch. With the roster right now, which 3 players have the best chance of being that generational player, like a Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, or Warren Sapp? AO, who do you think? Can you name a couple guys on this roster?
Ooh, let's go 2. TBD if he keeps his mind right, and James Williams. I think those who have the mindset the thing about those 3 guys is they brought everybody up with them. And that's what made the teams better. It's what made the guys better. It's what made them better. And those 2, from listening to their post-game conferences and their, pre-games, they're all in to the mentality. It's not about the showboating and other shit. It's all about the work that needs to get put into it, how guys are doing, saying positives about everything that goes on. Those 2 are going to be your difference makers.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that helmet would work.
The helmet came back on for Lex, so he's getting ready. What's your answer, Lex?
It's a thinking cap.
All right.
And what is this game, John? The one we can't say the same names like you guys do. I'm gonna go with LT. I think LT, and I'm gonna go with another safety. I think Avante. I think Tay Williams has a sneaky chance if he continues. To me, there's a lot of people that don't have a lot. And, he has, 2 kids? But he stuck everything out. He's been doing everything the right way. Yeah, he got a little trouble here and there, but he looks like he's on the right path. Those people have always in their heart have something to prove.
All right.
And those are the people you don't want to bet against. So I'll go with LT. But I think Tay, I think he's going to make it far when he gets to the NFL if he stays on the right path.
Yep, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, John?
I don't want to say TBD because that's kind of like the obvious pick. Yeah, if he keeps going on this trajectory, he'll forever be in our memory as one of the all-time greats. Even if, he doesn't have to win like a championship or anything, but if we had double-digit wins, win an ACC, and it's on his back, we'll remember that forever. But, man, I'm going to say Avante. I'm going to agree with you, Lex. I just think he has that it factor on top of being just uber talented. And I'm going to say one people don't think of, but they should. I'm going to say Rooster.
Ooh,
Oh.
I like that. That's a
I,
great
I,
pick.
I actually think, John, you were going to say somebody else, and the general's already said it, and we both all forgot. I think Arroyo has that it factor.
He does.
Don't you think?
Arroyo's a good one.
But you said the
Arroyo's,
rooster. When you said this question, the rooster did not come to my head.
he doesn't come to anybody's mind for whatever
Right.
reason. Look
Because-
what he did.
because that-
Look
go
what
ahead.
he did last year with just terrible blocking. Let's be
Yeah.
honest.
Do you think he also got a little bit overworked last year? It looked like he just too much payload on him last year.
A little bit. I mean, I think he's tough. He can handle it, but yeah, he could have shaved like a couple carries per game off, and that makes a little bit of a difference. But with Chaney hurt, that's your big playmaker out of the backfield. Now you got Parrish. Now you got Thad a lot more ready. Now you got Citizen if somebody gets dinged up.
I think that's the thing.
I can't
too,
wait to
is-
see Thad. Thad's going to take someone's job.
Yeah.
He's
Dude.
going to take someone's job.
But that's what everybody keeps saying about, and you don't think Rooster hears that? I mean, that's the thing is he can hear all the someone's going to come take my spot. Okay, I'll let's see if anybody's going to take it. That's what drives you too is how great that room is. That will drive somebody even further than what we saw last year.
John, can I ask you an AO question?
Sure.
I talked about at the beginning of the show. AO just brought it up. Does this running back room, if they push each other to the hardest potential they got, does it have the potential to start in that same direction as the 01 or 2000 room when you had Portis, McGahee, and all them? Because you got Citizen back there that you're all calling them an animal. It looks like the stars are starting to align themselves a little bit.
You got to prove it first. Can't just
Yeah,
get
no. You got to prove it. You got to prove it just like they did. But are we maybe starting to get that mentality back? You haven't heard anybody talking about transferring. You don't see any news about it.
right.
All you seeing is pictures of them working every day.
Yeah, hardcore workouts too.
Yeah, and that's what we need here at every position. That's what I'm talking about. That iron sharpens iron. It was at a point. Michael Irvin, I think, would say this. It was at a point where you were afraid to get hurt because someone was going to take your job. Your backup was going to take your job if you were out, if you took more than one or two plays off.
Yeah, Reggie said he played with a rolled ankle because Andre Johnson was behind him. What other school can say that? You know what I mean? Like, that's ridiculous in the first place.
That's just stupid.
That's
insane.
If I get injured, I got Edgerrin James. Yep. I got Portis, Gore, McGahee, Davenport, Najee. Everybody forgets about Najee. Davenport, he was in there.
Najee was a stud. Even post-knee injury, he was great.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard that story on, it's not on the U Part 2. There was another documentary that came out, the U Reloaded. It's on YouTube. You can watch it for free. It's like an hour and a half long. It's about the rebuild from like 95 to 01. It's like that section of time. It's pretty cool. I enjoyed watching it. Najee tells this story it was before the spring game, I think, in like 2000. He gets challenged by James Jackson, who was the starter going into that year. Or this is how James Jackson became the starter. Jackson tells him, "Hey, why don't we run some laps as a warm up around the Orange Bowl or whatever, wherever they played the spring game." And he runs laps with them and runs them and runs them and runs them. And Najee's exhausted at the end of it. James Jackson, he's still good. He's still fresh. And so Najee was terrible. He ran for like no yards in the spring game, and James Jackson looked like a superstar, and that's how he won the job. This is on 99 or 2000, one of the two.
That's brilliant.
I'm watching that tonight because I did not know that.
Yeah, I think it's called the U Reloaded. It's for free on YouTube. If I find it, I'll send it to you, Lex. It's pretty cool. Let's see, Chris Brown saying something about Najee, about the Green Bay. I forgot about the Green Bay guys every time. Davenport, Franks, and that cornerback that was a receiver, Sam Shields. Yeah, that's true. The Packers got a few of our greats. I forget about Bubba Franks when talking about the great tight ends.
Yeah, he was a beast.
He was one of the He was right after Shockey, wasn't he?
Right before Shockey.
Right before Shockey.
Mm-hmm.
So he was with Edge.
Yeah, he was with Edge. Yeah, that offense, it was Bubba Franks, Edge, and Santana Moss and Reggie Wayne when they were like sophomores.
Yeah.
That was
wow.
Just
Grace insane. Yeah, the U reload, the Rise for 5. Yeah, some.
It is. It's the U reloaded Rise for 5. Then they have the reloaded pitch, the U reloaded Ed Reed INT for an hour and a half. There's about 7 of them, but the Rise for 5 is the one you're talking about.
That's the main one. Yeah.
I'll watch those. I don't mind that.
There's like 6 of them already on. They got one over Jeremy Shockey too.
Shockey was cool though.
Yeah, that one's fun to watch. So we're coming up on close to 40 minutes. We got 67 in the chat. Thank you guys for being on. Please hit the like button and hit that subscribe button. We'll be on, maybe 5 or 10 more minutes. I did want to cover this before. Actually, you know what? Before I get to my last topic, there was a question. I want to say the general was asking it. 1 second.
Said General.
Yes.
Lex, if you put that helmet on and you run through a wall on the side, I'll give you $2. Be $1.
You had me going. You didn't have to pay me, but not like you said the $2. I get my ass kicked more than that for my wife.
Oh, I know that. I mean,
oh, sorry about the language. I know we're not supposed to curse on YouTube. I gotta donate $5.
It's
now.
fine. I think after like the first 10 minutes, the algorithm doesn't pay attention to the cursing as much. Here we go. This is the question I was looking for. What's your favorite performance from a player in a game? This could be a fun one.
This might take a few minutes.
One popped into my head immediately, so I'll start.
You start.
It was that 0-3 game against Florida State in the rain against Tallahassee. Sean Taylor, I think.
Damn it.
Sean Taylor had 2 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries, and I think he blocked a punt or something.
Yeah.
And if you go back and watch like the full highlights of that game, the ball hit him in the hands like 5 or 6 times, but because it was wet and muddy, he could have had like 5 interceptions. He was everywhere. The most monster game from a safety I've ever seen.
Yeah. That was the day I decided I wanted to be I went from being a corner to going to being a safety. I was like, oh yeah, if I can be everywhere and just hit somebody like that all day.
Favorite performance from a player in the game. You know what? I'm gonna go a different route. And I'm gonna choose a player you guys would never say. And I'm gonna go with Mr. Daryl Langham. When he caught the FSU pass to break the record, and then the following week, I was in the end zone seats getting rained on when he caught it off the helmet off Georgia Tech. Back-to-back weeks. I'm going to go with Mr. Daryl Langham because I was at those games, and I remember seeing both of them. And, we were going crazy. We were 3 rows off the end zone where he caught it, and it was just nuts. And we stayed in that parking lot to the Georgia Tech game until the cops kicked us out. Until they kicked us out. I drove home after that game. I didn't get home till like 5 a.m. Sunday. But I'm gonna go old school with that one.
I love that both of you took both my answers. Like the first thing that came to mind was Sean Taylor. Second one was gonna be Rozier. I'm like, all right, okay. So God, okay.
Should have been quicker on your feet, Birdman.
I'm gonna go with the Portis takeover when what was it? Was it Washington where he ran for like 200 plus?
252 yards? Was that Washington? Well, he ran Washington? Washington State, I think it was. Washington State.
State or Washington State? It was one of the two.
Huskies.
Talking about Clinton Portis?
Yeah. He went for
was that UCLA? Was that versus UCLA? He ran for 252 yards. It was against UCLA, yes. I remember that.
If you're thinking UCLA, that was Edgerrin James. They ran for like 299.
Maybe that's the game I'm thinking of.
We're talking to AO. Remember, we're talking to John. He's the encyclopedia over here.
Yeah, he's right. I was going with James.
Not as much as the chat. The chat found that for me. Yeah, no.
Edge against UCLA. So that's what I'll go with. Is a complete takeover.
Yeah, he like single-handedly beat him.
Yeah.
As a kid, I remember watching that one. He was Edger and James. I think watching Canes football as a kid was the first guy that I watched. I was like, man, this guy. I remember every time he touched the ball, 7 yards, 9 yards, 8 yards. It like all moving the chains every time he touched the ball. It was crazy.
And guys were flying backwards when they hit him. Like they would just basically hold on and try and like take him down with them. It wasn't them tackling him and he was going down on his back. He was basically tripping over their bodies. And that's pretty much how they took him out.
There were, I remember, and Portis did this a lot too. There were a couple of Canes backs from that era that, and sometimes instead of taking it to the house, like going down the sideline, there'd be like one defender left. He would go towards that defender and put his shoulder into his face.
Okay, First of all, I've always thought about that. I'm like, why are none of our guys ever juking the shit out of somebody and getting the touchdown? They're like, I'm running right to him. I'm like, run around him. Oh, my God. I'm so glad someone finally said that. It used to drive me nuts when I was watching the game. I'm like, is it me? And then I'm just like, why didn't you had to do one move. You literally could have bounced it out and you ran 7 yards back towards him.
That's not the mentality. The mentality is put the shoulder down and let's see if you really want to get tackled.
Oklahoma drill.
Oklahoma, what they say about Oklahoma drill, they made a lot of people change sports. They made them into basketball players and volleyball players.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got Greg Rousseau in the 2019 game. I think he had like 3.5 or 4 sacks in that game, something like that.
He was just a pressure all day. I mean, they weren't doing anything that whole side of the field.
He was took over it. In my opinion, he was a first rounder off that game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. I agree.
Flag had a good one there, man. Perry with that 21-point comeback.
Yeah, that was a good one too.
Perry had a 21-point comeback. Yep, that's right. Let's see. You got Braxton Barrios.
Yeah.
Same game, ending the streak.
Well, he had awesome. Barrios' mentality for his size and the way he played like an Andre Johnson. That's the mentality. That was Barrios.
Even Morris had a lot of good games like that too, where he just had breakout games with him and Dorsett. They would just kind of take over part of a game or had that really, really crazy ending to a game. I liked Morris a lot growing up. That was one of the QBs I liked. Him and Brock Berlin were kind of. I feel like they never got like the credit they really needed, for what they kind of had going on around them. But I still feel like Morris, Dorsey, Brock, and Jacory were still my favorite ones.
Mentality,
yeah.
Emery,
Lex, I forgot. Did you give your pick?
I did. Hold on, my pick for the game. Yeah, I said Daryl Langham.
Daryl Langham. That's right.
I still. Does anybody? I'll throw you one more. Devin Hester's freshman year when he took that run back against Florida on the opening kickoff and took the helmet off and told everybody, "I'm here."
Yeah,
that was so good. Amigos is common here.
Jacory in 09 against FSU. De'Ara King destroying FSU. People forget about that one because can you imagine if the 52-10 blowout was in front of a crowd?
Yeah. That's nuts.
We got robbed of that, man.
Yeah.
I was there.
You were there with like 14 other people. That's 6 the problem.
People.
We were in section 315, and there must have been 20 or 30 people there, and 2 of them happened to be FSU fans, and they left quickly. But
I was going to say they probably
that's
left.
one of those games that was my boy's first ever FSU games. It's hard to take the kids when they're young to FSU games. It gets kind of crazy. And they all had all A's. They came home with report cards, all A's. They sent us to go to FSU, and we left.
Wow.
So I remember that game.
That's an incentive right there.
That's a good gift.
You get all A's, you go to Miami games during the week.
All right, boys. I'm going to end with this one. We'll talk real quick about the upcoming schedule. What do you guys think is a potential trap game for this team? Obviously, the 2 big games, Texas A&M, Clemson. I'm going to go with the safe bet, and I think we split those 2 games. But we may trip up once or twice in the games that we should win. That's we're not that elite team yet that's just going to run the table.
Mm-hmm.
that being said, who do you guys think is a trap game that we got to watch out for? I'll start with you, AO.
Pitt.
Pitt?
I just always feel like Pitt's at the end of the year. If the going's getting, higher and higher, just like we were 10-0, and all of a sudden we have them at home. We have everything going for us. Kind of like what we saw like the UNC game. Everything's on the line, and they just trip over themselves. Because it could be easily that mentality of, oh, we're going to get there anyway. Someone's going to step up, and then no one does. Oh, God. Just run through the wall.
I'm going to, because I'm going to say it out loud like Hulkamania fans always do, baby. We're going 12-0.
That's right.
There is no such thing as a trap game, John. There's nothing like it. All the Hulkamania, all the Canes fans. Oh, yeah. 12-0. We don't care.
Well, the general disagrees with you. He says Pitt.
Well, let's
you got Travis saying Virginia.
And
that means he agreed with me.
Well, I'll give you another one. Hold on. We have Tech at Virginia Tech, don't we?
Ooh.
Here's
Virginia
some of the
Tech
games. We got at Virginia Tech. You got
exactly. That's mine.
UNC's at home. I think we kick North Carolina's ass. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Mar.
Virginia's at home on the road.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. So you got Virginia Tech road, Duke at home for a little break, Virginia on the road again, and then Florida State back at home, and then Georgia Tech on the road. That's a tough little 5-game stretch. That's not going to be a slouch.
I still think it's Virginia Tech. You know they're going to give us an 8:00 night game. You can expect that to be a Thursday night game. I haven't looked at the dates, but Virginia Tech at home at night is not an easy place to play.
No, loud.
So, there is no trap game as Mario was going to put in a big game show. Yeah, I agree. I'm sorry, man. I just had to come out when I put the helmet on, a whole different Lex comes out. So I apologize for going on your show.
But there's no need to apologize for that.
But no, I honestly think if you had to pick one, I agree with you. I think we're going to split the Texas A&M Clemson, but I think Virginia Tech at home, it's going to be an 8:00 game. It always is. So I think that's the one we have to be careful, going into.
Agreed. But one thing's for sure, I think the staff is at least going to have us prepared. We're not going to get we're not going to get caught like that Thursday game against Virginia that we fell behind like 9-0 and we're just down like 2 scores the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no more of that nonsense.
Yeah. I think if people are messing up, there's accountability now where they're going to get pulled out of the damn game. You're messing up, you're out. Like, next person up. They're not going to be like, oh, well, they just had a really bad half. No, you're out. You got to go. You ain't ready, you got to go.
Yeah.
And John, do you think if we split that game we lose, I think it's going to be a little tighter. I think it comes down to who has the ball last. If we come out prepared, the game that we split, let's say we lose Clemson or Texas A&M.
Right.
I think it's going to come to a last possession type game. If we lose, there is no 2 or 3 score losses anywhere on our schedule. If we lose, it's coming down to a missed kick.
I agree with that.
Or something like
it's
that.
It's a nitty-gritty game.
I think the couple 2-3 games that we lose, I think they're all going to be very close. I agree with you there.
They say 2 or 3. 2 or 3?
I got to say 2 or 3.
I'm going to put my helmet back on it.
I've never seen your eyes get so giant right there until that moment.
Listen, man.
John, I know where you live, John.
We don't have the horses and the depth yet. I'm telling you, a college football season is a battle of attrition. Everybody's nicked up by the end of the year. Everybody's playing hurt. It is a battle of attrition. You need depth. That we do not have yet. Our starting 22 hangs with anybody on our schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe that. Our quarterback gives us a chance in every game. Does that mean we're going to win every game? In my opinion, no. But let's see. 12-0.
I'm booking the tickets for the playoffs this year.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't care.
All right. So, you know what? I think we'll stop it there. Guys, thank you so much for coming on. It was fun. I appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
AO, Big Lex, let everybody know, whoever wants to jump in, let them know what time your show is every week and, where they can find you.
Everybody, average Canes fans, Monday nights, 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern, but we're actually switching our time up to 7:30 Central.
I was going to say, he forget already.
8:30 Eastern time. You can find us both on Twitter. This is my tag right here. You can find us on the postings for the average Canes fans. We have all of our information on there too. Otherwise, find us in the chat. We're more than happy to chop it up with everybody.
John, thank you very much, man. It's always a blast talking with you here on the phone, whatever. What AO said, you can find us anywhere. We're everywhere. So, John, thank you very much again, brother.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Triple
boys.
J.
Yes. As always, guys, go Canes. Have a good night, everybody. Take care.
Later.